Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now, today's first story comes from Conscious, who says, am I the arsehole here for leaving my boyfriend because he bought his female best friend lingerie as a joke? My boyfriend, 28 male, and I, 24 female, have been together for a year and a half. I love him a lot and he's been pretty amazing to me. He's also the sort of person who has lots of friends, and his close friends are pretty much family. He also loves to joke and play these harmless pranks on his friends, which sometimes makes me feel weird. Just for context, he has 2 female friends and 3 male friends. This is about my boyfriend and one of his friends, Claire, 28 female. Claire is a nice woman and we are friendly. My boyfriend also never ignored me in favor of his friends or talked over me in front of them, which is why I don't understand if I'm in the right. They, my boyfriend's friends, had a recently escalated prank fight. I'd made it clear to my boyfriend that I'm not good at jokes and I'm rather stiff, and he said he would keep me out of it. Claire, my boyfriend, and another friend Kyle, 27 male, even had a huge throwing water balloons fight in Kyle's backyard. Then my boyfriend got pranked with dye in his body wash. Then Kyle got pranked by Claire, something about whipping cream and oven mitts. But the issue was when my boyfriend bought a red lacy lingerie set, and he planned to put it in Claire's room the next time when he went over. I said it was a tacky prank, and why would he buy lingerie? None of the previous pranks had been of this kind, and it makes me really uncomfortable. I also felt if I was Claire, I would feel gross about it. But my boyfriend got mad and defensive and told me Claire is cool like that and she would think it's funny. I admit, I get a bit weirded out when he calls Claire extremely beautiful and jokes about how she was always been way out of his league. But I thought it was nothing and they were like family. So I guess it was their thing. However, the lingerie prank had me put my foot down, and I said that he was wrong to give another woman lingerie, no matter who, when he had a girlfriend. We fought and I said I wanted to break up, which he didn't want to, and I said that I was just overreacting. He said that I was too conservative and need to open my mind when he never gave me a reason to be insecure. Claire called me and said that she and my boyfriend had been friends for a long time and inside jokes are just that. And I'll learn with more age. I still feel weird about this. My best friend is supportive of me no matter what I do, but I've started to feel like I'm blowing this out of proportion. My boyfriend says that the fact that he told me and didn't hide it from me shows that I'm the problem. I've started to feel like I've blown this out of proportion and maybe it's my fault I can't take a joke. I feel really awful about this whole thing. Am I the arsehole here? Edit. The people ask him what the prank is with the lingerie. Apparently, it's an inside joke about how during their college days, she had some problems with the color red, and the lingerie would have just given her a shock of some kind, I guess. I told my boyfriend it was cruel, but he said it wasn't a trauma thing, just an inside joke. Claire also said over the phone that the lingerie thing was just an inside joke of their college days. Absolutely, I don't blame you for being uncomfortable in this situation. I'm going to go start from the reasons backwards on this, that he called her beautiful, but extremely beautiful, and that she's out of his league, and then decides to buy her lingerie and is like, oh yeah, this is just a prank, this is just an inside joke, and she's saying the same to you at the same time and says, and that you're going to learn more with age. The difference between you two in age is 4 years, that your mindset is going to change in those 4 years. What fucking wild thinking is that? Can you imagine saying something like that to your partner about someone else? Oh, they're extremely beautiful. I mean, you know, they may be, but you don't say that to your partner and then like, but she's always been out of my league. Why would you do that? But Lex says, not the arsehole. You aren't blowing this out of proportion. How is buying lingerie and putting it in someone's room a prank? You'll learn with age. There's a 4-year difference between you and Claire. Does she think in 4 years you'll somehow think buying lingerie is acceptable and somehow can be considered a prank? Girl, I'm in my 40s and I can tell you right now, That would never be an acceptable inside joke or prank, and your boyfriend telling you you're the problem because he didn't hide it from you is just plain trying to manipulate and gaslight you. You don't need him to agree to dump his ass. You deserve better. Drop him and fuck Claire too. Not literally. Nemo Spectre says in quotes, Claire called me and said that she and my boyfriend have been friends for a long time and inside jokes are just that and I'll learn with more age. Then says tell Claire boundaries exist and adults respect boundaries. But it's okay if they don't understand. They'll learn with age. Dance Commander says, I had this happen almost word for word when my ex's ex, who he still has friends with, she lived quite a distance away, was coming over to stay the weekend. She made a joke to him asking if he needed to bring any blankets with her or if he would keep her warm. He thought it was weird and inappropriate, so told me about it right away. We both agreed it wasn't okay. Then when he confronted her about it, he told her, OP thinks you're trying to sleep with me. I don't, but, and completely threw me under the fucking bus. She turned it around into, when he used to live at his grandmother's and she would stay with him there. She had to bring extra blankets because she was always cold. So she was just making a cheeky little joke of that. Nothing was meant by it. They've been friends longer than he's even known me, and she doesn't have to explain herself, and neither should he. They're adults and just friends who can make jokes. My discomfort was completely ignored by both of them after that, and I was reduced to just being jealous because that wasn't what she meant, and even if it was, he would never sleep with her. The mental gymnastics people do when called out on inappropriate behavior is just disgusting. Missing says, my ex-fiance was gifted lingerie on Friendship Day by her male best friend. I was extremely uncomfortable. We later broke up due to the fact it turns out he escalated it to sex at some point afterwards. As a man, no man buys women underwear unless he wants to see her in it. You don't buy sexy lingerie as a joke gift. The prank war is just an excuse that gives him deniability because he is a coward. Sounds to me like you struck too close to the truth for his comfort, and he's shocked his perfect deniability plan didn't work. A final comment which was a reply to that and says this, I was given lingerie even a prank. He was absolutely testing boundaries with both of you. It's so disrespectful to you. Claire's response is very telling. She knows he wants her and she likes the attention. If she said she wanted him, you can bet he'd dump you in a heartbeat. Good for you for having self-respect and moving on from someone who clearly is using a prank as a way to let Claire know he's thinking about her wearing the lingerie. Edit. To your recent edit that's an inside joke about the color red. That is such bullshit. He's gaslighting you. So if it's about the color, then why does it have to be lingerie? He could have literally anything else in the color red, but he chose lingerie. If this inside joke sounds convoluted, that's because it is. Their excuses make no sense, and when that happens, someone is lying. So, OP came in with an update and said my inbox got flooded with DMs and had to turn off Reddit notifications. When I posted this, I was ready to be called immature and ridiculous and get a couple of comments, but it seemed like the post blew up and the comments were kind of eye-opening. To be honest, before all this fiasco, my boyfriend has always been nice to me. Came with me to my grad school functions even though he found them very boring, but would do it so that I could network. He builds stuff like furniture and helps out with handiwork all the time. He's also very funny, and at the very beginning, I thought all of his jokes were funny, and sometimes wondered why he wanted to be with me. Plus, I was always busy with school and job interviews. His mum and I had even gotten close, and she's been saying how happy she is that we were together. I'd always ignored his and Claire's weird dynamic because I told myself I was being insecure. I have male friends too, and I thought that just because we aren't like that doesn't mean my boyfriend and Claire can't be close. Claire has also never been outright mean to me. She was just aloof, and I thought it was because I was new to the group. To the actual update. My boyfriend and I broke up. I'm sorry guys, but even after seeing so many replies on how he was cheating, I refused to believe it. I'm still in love with this guy, and he called me like half a day after I wrote this post and asked to meet. I met him and he said that he understood where I was coming from, but I was always too uptight to understand that friendship is friendship. He and Claire had known each other for years before I came into the picture, and I cannot expect them to just ruin their dynamic. I asked him what sort of dynamic was red lingerie. Why couldn't it be literally any other type of clothing? He told me he had it with my insecurities, and that he and Claire talked, and apparently I was making them sound like cheaters and homewreckers, and that he thought it was better if I find someone like me, who thought the idea of a fun night was junk food and a movie indoors. That hurt a lot. He'd always known I had insecurities about being called boring. He always complimented me on how his weaknesses were my strengths. Now he says things like this to me. Also, before this lingerie fiasco, I'd never said a word about his and Claire's friendship. I always supported his pranks and practical jokes, no matter my opinions on them, because I thought it was his business what he did with his hobbies. And he leaves without even putting up a fight because his girlfriend didn't want him giving lingerie to the woman he constantly refers to as his sexy bestie. Fucking hell. Claire didn't call or text after the breakup, but Kyle did and said that he was sad that we broke up and hoped that I would be okay in the future. I asked him if my boyfriend ever cheated on me. He said that my boyfriend had only been a one-woman man when he was dating me, but he could understand that some women can't handle female best friends, especially if they look like Claire. I told him to fuck off and blocked him. I felt like he only wanted to gloat and hurt me because my boyfriend left. I feel like I never knew these people. Claire and Kyle were always at least decent to me, if not nice. Did it make me a free target now that my boyfriend has been telling his friends I'm an insecure child? I don't know what to do now. I've been told repeatedly by both my friends and sister that I dodged a bullet, but I've been breaking down like a kid again and again. I'm even thinking of going to therapy after feeling the most insecure I felt my whole life. Thank you to all who were supportive. It seems like my now ex-boyfriend just did the work for me. And as always, OP, I know this is going to be incredibly painful for you at this current moment, but I think what I'm going to say is going to be a reflection of a lot of the comments below. I haven't looked at them yet, but you dodged a bullet here. Instead of this guy accepting any responsibility for the weird dynamic, and there's nothing wrong with having opposite sex friends, etc., but there needs to be boundaries in place. He has none. He clearly has something for his sexy bestie, the one that's way out of his league, and just look at his behavior on your final meeting with him. Instead of accepting any kind of responsibility, he's again playing on your insecurities and trying to twist the whole thing onto you, calling you uptight when you confronted him about the dynamic with the red lingerie. He, instead of answering, he just said, I've had it with your insecurities. He couldn't answer because the answer is obvious to everyone. Again, this isn't a good person. This is someone that's willing to target your insecurities to get himself out of the shit. It's what we see in a lot of these types of stories, the Darvo response. And shit, junk food and movies sounds like a good time to me. Who doesn't love a junk food and movie night? What the hell? But whatever happens going forward, OP, walk with your head held high and remember you've done the right thing here. And I hope you find someone that truly appreciates you. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Accomplished Bar 5656, who says, am I the arsehole for suing my parents for my college money? My great aunt set up a savings account for all of her female relatives. In our culture, education for women is not really valued, and she thought that was bullshit. She lived with her father in London where she was educated. She went on to attend university and became a doctor. She married a British man. They moved to America and had a great life. She funded the education of many of her nieces and grandnieces as she could. When she passed away, she left money for every girl relative she could. My parents managed to access the accounts that was set up for my sister and I. They used it to pay for my brother's wedding. My sister didn't care because she got married 2 years out of high school and had no intention of going to college. When I graduated, I went to the bank to get money for school and it was almost all gone. There was like $13,000 left. I asked my parents about it and they said that they had needed the money. I finally found out where the money went. I got furious. I got student loans and moved out. I'm a great source of shame to them and I don't give two fucks. I am currently suing them for the money that was left for me. My entire family is against me. They all think I'm a complete arsehole for airing private family business in public, and I am putting money ahead of family. My friends are all on my side, but they're all Americans and don't really get my culture. Neither do I, to be honest. My brother called me up and offered to pay for my university if I dropped the lawsuit. I agreed as long as we had a legally binding contract. He said I was being an arsehole for not trusting him. I said he should not have accepted my money for his wedding. It's causing all kinds of embarrassment in our community. I'm somewhat ashamed to be doing this, but I don't want to have this debt I should not have. I always find it hilarious when in these stories when, they said, I quote what OP said, they all think I'm a complete arsehole for airing private family business in public. Do you know why they don't want to air this private family business in public? It'll make them look like the fucking Burks that they are. They're wrong. They took this money that was yours. They stole this money that was yours for your education, kindly provided by your great aunt, who sounds like a wonderful person, by the way. And as for your brother, quite frankly, I wouldn't trust someone either who's willing to call you an arsehole and defend their actions at the same time. But Timely Ask says, not the arsehole. Your parents didn't borrow your money. They stole it. Hope you have all the documents to show that money was yours. Your brother is also the arsehole for trying to get you to drop a lawsuit with what is most likely a lie. You have a chance to start a life without student debt. You do whatever you can to do that. Your parents, and I'm sorry, but their culture sounds completely toxic. I'm glad you got out. OP says, the student law center at my university is helping me with everything. I have proof that the money was mine. I'm trying to do everything I can so this doesn't become a criminal matter. Ryholt replies to that and saying, I'm sorry, but this is a criminal matter. If this was for an American university, you're talking 200k to 300k. Theft of that much is jail time. Mopper says, in quotes, they think I'm being a complete arsehole for airing private family business in public and that I'm putting money ahead of family. Then says, no, they think you're an arsehole for holding them accountable for their awful actions. They thought you would be a pushover, but you're showing them that you are not. Your great aunt would be proud of you. And you aren't the one putting money ahead of family. They did when they stole your money. They already showed you how little they think of you, or respect you, or love you as a family member when they screwed you over. Not the arsehole, obviously. Kavak says, not the arsehole. Your parents and your brother had the opportunity to keep this a private matter when you told them you would sue them if they didn't return the money or pay for your schooling. Since you've already been betrayed by family members you trusted, your brother should not be offended that you want a written contract. And a final comment from Professor Yaffle1, who says, not the arsehole. Your parents stole from you. I find it difficult to believe that that's culturally acceptable. If they asked you to agree to the money being used, it would be different, although still not great given the power imbalance. And I would have thought that intentionally disrespecting the dead would be a no-no in most cultures. You aren't airing family business in public. You're dealing with a theft. Your parents are the ones who chose to lie and steal. They only have the same blame that their actions have caught up with them. And yes, relying on a formal, binding legal contract in place to withdraw your legal claim is essential. You are not being an arsehole. If your brother is honest and trustworthy, then there is no reason for him to object. If he isn't, then there is a reason to get it formally drawn up. So OP came in with an update over a year later and says, it's over. I got my money. I've also been pretty much disowned by my family, but I consider that a win as well. My parents ended up having to mortgage some property to pay me back for what they stole. My family is embarrassed that I forced them to this point after they had offered to pay me back in installments. Nobody is willing to answer me when I ask what would make my parents pay me back if I was stupid enough to trust them. I've been told that I will never find a husband from our culture with my belligerent attitude and strident independence. I laughed. I do not want anything to do with that culture except perhaps enjoy the food. I plan on never returning to that country. I'm enjoying the independence I have achieved and more than happy to know that several other of the young women in my family have taken steps to lock down the education funds left for them. For those of you that think it is sexist my great aunt only cared about educating women, please die angry. So a commenter said on the back of this one, the only way for this to be a happier ending is if your parents saw the inside of a jail cell for stealing your money. OP replies saying, that is how we won. My lawyer started asking for documents that would show exactly that, and there could have been legal, not just financial consequences. They agreed to pay me back. And hell yeah, good for OP in this situation. And look, I don't know the full ins and outs about how OP felt about dealing with family, but I know from stories we've read, books I've read, audiobooks I've listened to at the same time, how difficult it can be to cut those ties, to deal with family members when they try to manipulate you with family ties, etc. OP may have found it easy. Like, I don't know. And the family makes it a little bit easier for OP with the way that they treat OP at the same time. But I can only imagine there's a lot of emotions there to deal with at the same time, but fucking good for OP in this situation. And I'm so glad they didn't trust them with the paying installments, didn't trust the brother, because it all just felt like a trap to me. Admiral Akbar was shouting in my ear. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time, not just towards me, but towards one another down below in the comments, the OPs in the stories, the people within the stories at the same time. It means the absolute world. So thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.